Hey, what is up everybody, this is Blackblade, and allow me to direct you to my channel description in the About tab for a minute. I play games at a moderate skill level, then review them to see what works and what doesn't. Well, as of now, I have completed 5 games on this channel, one of which I don't really count, and only one I've actually done a review of. I love reviewing games, especially considering how it ties into my main passion in life as a game developer. So seeing as I'm a little behind, let's say we take a look at the second game on this list. Lord of the Rings Conquest was an action game released in early 2009 by Pandemic and EA, and is a game I have quite a history with. My first experience with the game was playing a demo of it on a PS3 at our local Target, which, seeing as how I only had Nintendo systems until Christmas of 2012, was how I experienced most new releases. I really enjoyed my time with the game, so when it released I decided to get it for the only system I could think of, the Nintendo DS, and it was fun at the time. It wouldn't be until 2013 when I asked my aunt for this game for Christmas on the Xbox 360. A month's worth of anticipation and build-up led to the day when I opened up my present from her and got the guidebook. No joke, this actually happened. So after explaining this, my aunt then ordered me the PC version of the game, but by this point I had already found the 360 version at a local GameStop, so to this day I still have 3 different copies of it. While the series I did on my channel was playing the PC version, for this video I'll be reviewing the 360 version as I find it the most fun. So enough with the introduction already, let's hunt some more. This is Lord of the Rings Conquest, the review. I'm sorry everyone, but I have a confession to make. I don't really know what I'm talking about in regards to graphics. I know, I've publicly damaged each and every one of you psychologically, but I am making an effort to improve in this area, and I at least understand the basic terms. It's just when it comes to technological specifics, I'm about as clueless as a kangaroo in America. So with that in mind, I would consider the graphics of this game to be good, but not great. There's definitely a lot of quality to it with well-designed models, not including the ent faces, detailed backgrounds, and especially the lighting really making areas like Mount Doom pop. There's also a consistently smooth frame rate on the 360 version, but other than the user interface that feels a little sloppy, why do I not rate this higher with all those positives? Honestly, it was a problem I didn't even notice at first, but upon closer inspection realized it was the biggest culprit. For levels designed to be massive battlefields, there was surprisingly little attention to detail. That's not to discredit the levels themselves, which I'll talk about later, but despite all the soldiers running around and a couple barricades or whatnot lying around, everything feels somewhat static, making it that much harder to appreciate the rest of the visuals. With all this taken into consideration, it feels like the score could land at either a 6 or 7, but I'll give the game the benefit of the doubt and go with the higher of the two numbers. As an action game succeeding the original Battlefront duology, this may be the most important factor of the game, so that's probably why this game got mixed reception. I can honestly describe the positives and negatives in one collective statement: variety, but terrible flow. Throughout the game you have 4 separate classes to choose from, all of which you can switch to anytime you die or reach one of these handy dandy switch class pedestals. Each one plays drastically different. The warrior like a hack and slash game, although more clunky, but I'll get to that later. The archer like your typical third-person shooter but with special arrows. The scout like a rogue class in an RPG, and the mage is kinda broken. Not jarringly so, but his kit, as I want to call it after watching too much competitive Smash Brothers, has so much versatility. From an effective melee combo, a good projectile with lightning, strong field control options with a fireball and shield dome, and most of all the option to heal fellow soldiers as well as yourself. Side note, it's a good thing I played this game again to capture footage, because for the longest time I thought landing the heal on teammates was overly difficult to pull off. But only upon this last playthrough did I learn it's an area of effect skill, so I'm just dumb. Now your combat options don't end there. Depending on the map played, you have additional catapults, ballista, horses, wargs, and can even take control of ents, trolls, and holy crap, an Oliphaun! What? So yeah, there's a lot of variety to the game, and what? Oh, you didn't think I'd forget, did you? Of course not! What would a Battlefront type game be without the hero characters? And thank goodness they're as good here. Whenever you reach certain points in the campaign missions or get halfway to victory in the instant action modes, you get access to play as a hero or villain character depending on which side you're on. Each one is essentially just one of the 4 classes, but with their own skills and attacks that make them stand out. Except for Lurtz. He's kinda boring. Aside from the gameplay, another area in which variety is strong here is the level design. Each level feels drastically different from the others, and rather than trying to be super competitive or anything, just create fun and interesting scenarios. Helm's Deep is an excellent example of this, in that playing on Conquest mode as the Uruk-hai basically gives you an idea of how brutal the assault really was. So all of this is great, but there's one major flaw with Conquest gameplay, and that's the control. It's hard to explain, but it just doesn't flow very well. Aside from the preset combos with warriors and scouts, different attacks and skills don't always chain together in a satisfying or smooth way. On top of this, blocking is so terrible that it's practically worthless. Rather than just bringing up your sword to block right away, the attack animations can't be cancelled. So you just hope and pray, but today you still can't block that stupid warrior, and then get comboed to death. Look, the terrible flow to the combat is bad, and I understand why somebody wouldn't like the game for that reason. But for everybody else, don't take this as me saying the gameplay is bad. I still really enjoy it, and I'm being a little hyperbolic for comedic purposes. But this does drastically bring the game down, and so I can only give it a 6 in gameplay. Also, if you thought I was being very critical there, wait until you see what I have to say here. Once again, let's start out with the positives. Since this is a review of a Lord of the Rings game, I have a valid enough excuse to use Howard Shore's music in a video. Which is probably what the developers were thinking too, because the score of the movie trilogy is used to great effect here. Sadly, that's the only big positive I can give this game in the sound department. Regarding everything else, well, the fire effects sound good. Again, I can't explain why exactly, but most of the sound effects used for different attacks just don't feel like they carry much weight. Like smacking 2 sticks together. What? Again, it's not painful or anything, just unimpactful. As for the voice acting... Yeah, at the very least we have Hugo Weaving giving a good performance as the narrator and instant action announcer, and maybe some others that I didn't really notice, but most of the voice acting is subpar, clearly giving their best fantasy voice impression. That's not the problem though, the volume is. Character dialogue is louder than my sobbing when looking at channel analytics, and it really doesn't need to be. I want to give this game the benefit of the doubt, but I have to be fair and stick with a 4 in sound design. Finally, I get to praise this game as much as the nostalgic side of me wants to. For this reason though, I'm going to start with the negatives first to get them out of the way. The campaign is short, and that's about it. I know, this is the second review in a row where this aspect has been the best part of it, but it's true. There is so much replay value to this game, hence why I continue picking it back up as frequently as I do. And there's one main factor as to why. This is a really fun party game. Goodness, I can't say that without voice cracking. The campaign levels, with the exception of the prologue, are all cooperative, so there's plenty of incentive to go back for that, but the star attraction here is the instant action mode. Unfortunately, due to the servers being closed down just a little over a year after the game released, I can't give my thoughts on that. However, thankfully they included bot support with the game, giving you access to 13 total maps, 4 different game modes, and over 30 combinations between the two. On top of this, you can have up to 4 players split screen in this mode, which I don't have footage of since I don't live near most of my friends anymore, but I can say from experience that it still performs well and is a ton of fun. So yeah, this is what truly decides whether or not this game is worth getting to you, and for me, it's totally worth it, earning a 9 in content. As with my previous review, since this is technically a movie tie-in game, I won't be giving this aspect a score, so skip to the time allotted if you want to see the conclusion. Now, with that out of the way, how does this game fare? Well, it's not bad, but they take some serious creative liberties here. Remember that part in the movies when Gimli brings an army to Moria to take it back and then Gandalf fights the resurrected Balrog again? That was one of my favorites. All jokes aside though, they do capture battles like Helm's Deep, Minas Tirith, and Pelennor Fields rather well. Maybe not as well as something like, say, Return of the King, but that's a really high bar, so not really a fair comparison. Also, they do actually embrace the whacked out creative liberties by providing a Rise of Sauron campaign, in which Frodo is slain at Mount Doom and the agents of Sauron hunt down and slaughter every character you've grown to know and love over the stories. Emotional scarring optional. So if that sounds interesting to you, then definitely give the campaign a shot. Otherwise, well, let's just jump to the conclusion. Overall, my thoughts on this game have matured as much as I have over the years. Back in the day, I saw this as an awesome epic battle simulator, before Epic Battle Simulator, and when I wanted to be in the action rather than overseeing it. Now I see this as a fun co-op game with great party potential, and even has some value to it as a simple distraction, say loading up Team Deathmatch on Asgiliath or something. Taking the final scores into account, I give this game a 6.5 out of 10, and would recommend it to anybody who is a fan of the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings trilogy, or just looking for a good co-op experience. Now, if you don't like this game, then there's at least one thing we can all agree on. This is by far the best Battlefront game by EA. Well, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed, and hopefully I'll actually stick around with these scripted videos. If you did enjoy, be sure to slice that like button in half, subscribe to my channel if you are new, and if you want to see more videos like this, then stay tuned to the end card where I will have a link to the LEGO Star Wars 2 review I did with my friend Christian, or Copitz as his channel is known by. It was a lot of fun, and even though it's an older video on my channel, I think it holds up fantastic. Normally I would also link to the playthrough I did on this game, but it really hasn't aged well, so instead I'll link to the current playthrough that I'm doing on Ocarina of Time. Anyways, once again, hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.